A few days ago, in the principal's office, the principal was talking to someone on the phone. "Oh, really?" asked the principal. "I heard that he's a student who didn't even make it to the top 10, it's shocking that he could get the first rank in the entire school." "But didn't you say that this exam was going to be harder?" said the man on the phone. Oh Daewon replied with a hint of nervousness, "But before that, he was already quite smart, I didn't expect him to do that well." The man said, "I heard you gave special treatment to that student and all the teachers were on his side." Oh Daewon responded, "You're saying something very dangerous, we wouldn't do that in the middle of an exam. That would tarnish the reputation of Cheonil School." The man said, "I want to know about the education the student received." Oh Daewon replied, "Education? I understand what you're getting at, but Hung Sung just attends school here, and of course, Cheonil School already has a good education system. In fact, many people are willing to spend their money to attend this school." The man said, "It's a pity. In that case, please tell everyone to focus in class." After that, they hung up the phone. Mr. Kim, who was sitting next to him, immediately asked, "Was that another call about the education?" Principal Oh Daewon replied, "Don't even get me started. What do they think I am?" Mr. Kim said with a serious face, "The questions this time were made to be very difficult." Principal Oh Daewon said, "That's true, but this isn't about the students' rankings that's confusing. In other words, there shouldn't be any discrimination." Mr. Kim said, "The questions were so hard that it's unlikely anyone could answer them all correctly." Principal Oh Daewon said, "We can't expect that, but at least we can only encourage them about this, right?" Principal Oh Daewon gazed at Teacher Kim seriously. "I can see it, Kim Young-sung getting the highest average score in the country and entering Hankook University with top marks. You think the same, don't you, Young Chul?" Teacher Kim replied with a smile, "I can see it too." Principal Oh Daewon said, "The chance to become the best school is right in front of us, with the backing of Myunjin Construction and Hung Sung's scores, it's not a difficult thing, and it's all within our grasp. The only problem is Hung Sung often causes trouble. What if the smartest student keeps causing problems? We could become the worst school. My dear brother, do you remember I asked you to take care of Hung Sung?" Teacher Kim replied, "Yes, I remember." Principal Oh Daewon smiled and said, "I know you've done your best, and Kim Young-sung will become the best student Cheonil School has ever created. You understand what I mean, don't you?" Teacher Kim nodded, understanding what Principal Oh Daewon meant, as if he already knew without being told. Principal Oh Daewon placed a stack of money on the table and said, "Since you've created the smartest student in the school, I'll give you a bonus next month, so enjoy it. I want to make you a partner of Cheonil, until Kim Young-sung graduates, and even after that." Teacher Kim smiled upon seeing the stack of money and said, "Leave it to me." In his mind, Teacher Kim thought that his prediction of switching to Hung Sung's side was the right choice, better to be on Hung Sung's side than Young Minho's. Back to the present, on the rooftop, Teacher Kim was explaining everything he knew about the Golden Circle. After Teacher Kim finished explaining, Hung Sung said, "So if something bad happens to me, you'll be implicated too, right?" Teacher Kim replied nervously, "I've prepared to share the future or whatever happens in the future with you, so what do I need to do? Do I just need to stop Shin Young-min?" Hung Sung smiled and said, "There's only one thing I want. Whether it's then or now, so get ready." After saying that, Hung Sung walked away and added, "Whatever happens, adults ignore things like they didn't happen, and don't forget to prepare yourself mentally." At that moment, Teacher Kim understood the message from Kim Young-sung. The scene shifted to Shin Young-min lying on the ground, beaten up, with someone stepping on his head. The person who was beating him up was Kong Taegu. Kong Taegu said, "This is the last warning, if you fail again, be careful, next time I'll destroy one of your body parts." Shin Young-min, lying on the ground, could only reply with a stuttering voice, "I understand." Kong Taegu walked away and said coldly, "Remember this well, this is your last chance." A few moments later, Shin Young-min stood up with blood coming out of his nose and mouth, feeling angry because he was beaten up by Kong Taegu, and he cursed Kim Young-sung in his heart. The scene shifted to a construction site, where several people were suggesting Shin Young-min to beat up Hung Sung. Someone said, "Young-min, let's just beat him up. It's not like the teachers will be responsible for what happens outside of school." Someone else added, "Isn't it possible that he'll get away if we break one of his limbs?" Hearing the suggestions from his friends made Shin Young-min even more annoyed, and he said, "Of course, we can beat him up, but if we do it outside of school, Myunjin Construction Company will have a direct reason to cause trouble for us. And we won't have a way out when that happens." Hearing Shin Young-min's explanation made his friends realize that beating up Hung Sung outside of school would be like digging their own graves. They started discussing how to beat up Hung Sung without suffering the same fate as Park Min-chol. A burly guy raised his hand and said, "Sunbae Nim, can I say something?" The guy was Bae Seong-ho, a second-year student known as the Gorilla Monster. Shin Young-min nods, and Bae Seong-ho says, "Let's not deal with him one-on-one, but we can provoke him with a lot of people at once. As you know, the principal is obsessed with making the school a top school. The principal might punish one or two of us, but what if 30 people cause trouble? And if that happens, it's like the principal is burying his own dreams." Bae Seong-ho's explanation makes Shin Young-min trapped and impressed with his plan. A few days later, while walking at school, Hung Sung feels something off around him. Some people are cursing at him and trying to provoke him. One person runs into him, pretending to bump into him, but actually punches him in the back of the head. After bumping into him and punching him, the guy says, "Hey, you idiot, if you bump into me, you have to apologize." "Yeah, that's right, apologize quickly, and what's with your stare?" Another person adds. Hung Sung smiles and mutters, "Okay, that's enough." Without warning, Hung Sung punches the guy who had bumped into him and punched him in the head. The punch lands perfectly on the guy's face. Hung Sung quickly beats up the guy's friends. The guy's friends try to touch their faces, but Hung Sung approaches them and kicks them right in the face. Hung Sung stares at them and says, "Hey, tell your leader to stop thinking stupid thoughts and just bring everyone at once." A few moments later, Bae Seong-ho comes to Hung Sung's class with his friends. In his mind, Bae Seong-ho's plan is to provoke Hung Sung with first-year students and then bring his friends to finish him off. Bae Seong-ho walks up to Hung Sung and asks, "Are you Hung Sung?" Hung Sung stands up and says, "If we fight here, you'll get in trouble. How about you follow us to the recycling dumpster, where teachers rarely go?" Bae Seong-ho says. They walk to the spot, and once they arrive, they stand facing each other. This fight is basically the same as the one with Kong Chong-sok. However, in this case, if Hung Sung can't take them down or loses the fight against Shin Young-min, he'll be in trouble and will have to pay a heavy price. "You brought us here for this, you idiot," Bae Seong-ho says. Hung Sung ignores them and thinks about how to take them down. After a moment, Hung Sung provokes them. Hearing Hung Sung's provocation, Bae Seong-ho says, "Shut up, you know you've crossed the line, messing with Shin Young-min and disrespecting the hierarchy." But before Bae Seong-ho can finish, Hung Sung cuts him off and insults him. "Stop beating around the bush and get to the point." Hung Sung points to the window where many students are watching them from their classrooms and says, "You have eyes, don't you? Lots of students are watching us. Aren't you ashamed to bring so many people to fight me? You'll just be the laughing stock of the school. If you're brave, come at me one by one. Are you too scared to fight me one-on-one?" Hearing Hung Sung's taunts and provocations makes one of Bae Seong-ho's friends angry, and he steps forward. The guy is Kim Chong-yun, also known as the Senior Demon. Kim Chong-yun charges at Hung Sung and says, "As long as I'm here, everything will be fine." Kim Chong-yun tries to punch Hung Sung, but Hung Sung dodges the punch. Seeing that Hung Sung dodged his punch, Kim Chong-yun gets even angrier and says, "You think you're tough? Take this, you arrogant bastard." Kim Chong-yun launches another punch, but Hung Sung dodges it again. And with lightning speed, Hung Sung punches Kim Chong-yun's face, knocking him out cold. Park Jin-woo, who saw Hung Sung defeat Kim Chong-yun with a single punch, felt a surge of fear and thought about how foolish he was to have been enemies with Hung Sung, especially after beating up his friend Kim Si-woo. Hung Sung's decisive victory over Kim Chong-yun made Park Jin-woo realize that he wasn't just lucky, but actually a skilled fighter. Park Jin-woo thought to himself that he shouldn't provoke Hung Sung again in the future. As he was watching from the window, someone pushed him, making Park Jin-woo angry. He turned around and shouted, "You idiot, who did that?" Before he could finish his sentence, the person punched Park Jin-woo. The person who punched Park Jin-woo was none other than Kim Si-woo. "Shouldn't we settle our score too?" Kim Si-woo, who had just been punched by Hung Sung. A while ago, after Kim Si-woo involved Hung Sung in beating up Bae Seong-ho's underlings, he walked up to Hung Sung and asked if he had a plan, offering to go with him to take on the gang. Hung Sung turned around and said, "You promised not to get involved in a fight that wouldn't benefit you." Kim Si-woo was taken aback and said, "What do you mean? Are you planning to take on Shin Young-min's gang alone?" Hung Sung nodded and said, "I know what you're worried about, but you'll get hurt if you get involved. They might send even more people to take you down." "I know, but I have to do this. Can't we just resolve this if someone intervenes?" Kim Si-woo said, trying to convince Hung Sung. Hung Sung turned around and said, "There's something you can do for me if you really want to help. Get revenge on Park Jin-woo for me." Back to the present, after being punched, Park Jin-woo shouted in anger, "Are you crazy? Do you think you're tough because you're with Hung Sung? Let's settle this, you idiot. We'll beat you to a pulp and make you transfer schools." Park Jin-woo immediately throws a punch at Kim Si-woo, but Kim Si-woo quickly kicks Park Jin-woo, sending him stumbling backward. Park Jin-woo, feeling extremely embarrassed after receiving a direct kick from Kim Si-woo, becomes enraged. He's humiliated in his own territory, and to make matters worse, it's happening in front of his classmates. Park Jin-woo, in a fit of rage, launches punch after punch, but none of them land on Kim Si-woo. As Kim Si-woo dodges each blow, he asks, "Do you have any last words?" Hearing this, Park Jin-woo's anger intensifies, and he tries to grab Kim Si-woo, but Kim Si-woo beats him to it, kicking Park Jin-woo's chin with tremendous force, causing him to lose his balance and fall. Before Park Jin-woo hits the ground, Kim Si-woo lifts his foot high and slams it down onto Park Jin-woo's face. The scene shifts to Hung Sung, who has just taken down 4 of Bae Seong-ho's men. Seeing his friends defeated, Bae Seong-ho becomes furious. His carefully laid plan has fallen apart against Hung Sung. What was supposed to be a numbers game turned out to be no match for Hung Sung. The students watching the fight are both amazed and nervous. This is the 4th person Hung Sung has defeated. Will he take down the entire second year by himself? That's what's on every student's mind as they watch the battle between Hung Sung and Shin Young-min's gang. "Stop!" Bae Seong-ho yells, fed up with the situation. His plan to overwhelm Hung Sung with numbers has failed miserably. Hung Sung releases the person he's fighting and says, "I'll take you on now. Honestly, I don't hate you, but thinking you can win against us is just laughable," Bae Seong-ho says with a serious look. Hearing this, Hung Sung smiles and says, "I act like this because you all are amusing." With that, Bae Seong-ho throws a punch directly at Hung Sung's face, and Hung Sung retaliates with a punch of his own. They start exchanging blows, with Hung Sung not dodging a single punch. He looks like he's enjoying the fight immensely. Watching Hung Sung take punches without flinching and trading blows with him leaves Bae Seong-ho confused. Is Hung Sung aiming to see who will fall first? Does the difference in their weight classes not matter to him? How long will this go on? These are the thoughts running through Bae Seong-ho's mind. A short while later, Bae Seong-ho, who can't keep up with Hung Sung's exchange, is no longer able to fight. Hung Sung grabs Bae Seong-ho's hair and delivers a final punch straight to his face, knocking him out cold. The 4 remaining students who watched Bae Seong-ho lose can only stand frozen like statues. Hung Sung glances at them and says, "Hey, stop staring and bring Shin Young-min." The scene shifts to Shin Young-min, who is sitting. What an idiot, he followed the sophomores without realizing the situation. Shortly after, a student arrives and informs Shin Young-min that Bae Seong-ho has been defeated by Hung Sung. This leaves Shin Young-min confused, and he immediately asks how many people Bae Seong-ho brought. The student counts and says there were 9 people on Bae Seong-ho's side. Put the plan into action now. No matter what, the principal and Kim Young-chul can't ignore this. This is a school, they can't cover up the fact that 9 students were beaten up. The scene shifts to the teacher's room, where some students, who are Shin Young-min's followers, are causing a commotion. They're spreading the word about Hung Sung beating up the sophomores until they were bloody, and they need to report Hung Sung to the police. Some people are calling the police, and others are reporting the incident with tears, following the script Shin Young-min had set up, where everyone gives the same explanation. Meanwhile, Principal Oh Dae-won receives a phone call from someone asking if this is indeed the principal of Cheonil School. A few days ago, in a staff meeting, Teacher Kim asks, "Has anyone heard of the Golden Circle?" A teacher responds, "Golden what?" Another teacher asks, "Is it some new form of bullying?" The Golden Circle is an organization that profits from bullying students. Once they set a target, their members start bullying that person. And the incident involving Park Min-chul is connected to the Golden Circle, Teacher Kim explains. Do you mean Park Min-chul's gang is part of the Golden Circle? A teacher asks. Yes, that's right, Teacher Kim said, confirming the analysis. Hearing this, the teachers were confused and couldn't believe what they were hearing. Getting paid to bully people wasn't something they could accept. The staff room became chaotic with the news Teacher Kim shared. Teacher Kim then listed the people he knew were involved with the Golden Circle, including Park Min-chul, Yoon Min-ho, Cho Young-taek, Kang Chong-suk, Bae Seong-ho, and Shin Young-min. He warned them never to get involved with these people, as it could ruin their careers as teachers. So, are you going to ignore the problem just because they're part of the Golden Circle? We're teachers, our job is to educate them, one teacher said. What if the Golden Circle targets you? We don't know what will happen if we become their target, so whatever happens, let's just pretend we don't see anything, Teacher Kim said firmly. Back to the present, some students tried to influence the teachers, but the teachers scolded them, telling them that nothing had happened and sending them back to class. The person who called the police was also scolded for pranking them. Seeing that everything was pointless, Shin Young-min walked away, filled with anger, wanting to kill Hung Sung with his own hands. Shortly after, his phone rang. The scene shifts to a credit office, where Go Chang-bom walks in and says, "Do you know who I am?" "Of course, I know who you are. You're Go Chang-bom from Myunjin Construction. What brings you here?" To a loan shark, Kyo John-m replied, "Ah, I have a few small projects, and I thought I'd raise your profile," Go Chang-bom said, lighting a cigarette. What do you mean? Do you need something from us?" Kyo John-m asked, standing up, seeing an opportunity to build a relationship with Myunjin Construction. "It's simple. Hand over the contract for, if I'm not mistaken, Shin Min-suk," Go Chang-bom said. Back to Shin Young-min, who was being yelled at by someone on the phone. "What are you doing there, you bastard? What did you say to my father?" Shin Young-min said, sounding a bit nervous. "Don't you know who Kim Yun-sung is? You're brave to mess with him. Don't ever touch him. If you don't want the loan sharks to kill your father at home, then don't even think about doing anything," the voice on the phone warned. Hearing this, Shin Young-min realized how serious the situation was. "Ahem, hey Young-min. I'm Go Chang-bom," Go Chang-bom said from the other end of the line. "Listen carefully. From now on, there will be some red stickers on your front door. That means your father has been blocked, and your poor family still has debts. Those debts will fall on you. Do you want to inherit them? Do you think the loan sharks care about things like that? In other words, your life is over. But there's a way to survive. You can let Hung Sung beat you up like a dog. Isn't that just being a coward?" Shin Young-min said, "Coward? Are you stupid? There's no cowardice in a fight. If you win, you're the king. Be careful, I'm not talking nonsense," Go Chang-bom said coldly. After that, Shin Young-min went to meet Hung Sung. When Hung Sung saw Shin Young-min approaching, he said, "You're here too." Seeing Shin Young-min's arrival, some students who were watching the fight became excited. Without hesitation, Shin Young-min charged at Hung Sung, trying to punch him. Hung Sung just stood there and didn't dodge the punch, which surprised Shin Young-min. But he quickly pretended that Hung Sung had dodged the punch. "It seems you've received the phone call," Hung Sung said with a smile, and then punched Shin Young-min. Shin Young-min was torn between fighting back or not, but Hung Sung's provocation made him fight back. Fortunately for Hung Sung, he had seen Shin Young-min's amateur fight before, and he knew some of Shin Young-min's weaknesses. With that knowledge, the fight became one where Hung Sung could avoid all of Shin Young-min's attacks and land a few punches. "Come on, just once. Kneel down like a coward and beg for mercy," Hung Sung said, provoking Shin Young-min. The intense fight between them finally reached its peak when Shin Young-min tried to punch Hung Sung, but Hung Sung dodged and countered with a punch that Shin Young-min falls to the ground immediately. Seeing Shin Young-min fall, the students who are watching from their classrooms start to wonder if Shin Young-min will lose, and Hung Sung will win. Will the school's top fighter really lose to a first-year student? Without hesitation, Hung Sung locks Shin Young-min's arm and twists it. Shin Young-min tries to beg Hung Sung to stop, but Hung Sung doesn't stop and breaks his arm instead. The fight between Shin Young-min and Hung Sung is over, with Hung Sung emerging victorious. He defeats Shin Young-min and his gang, proving his strength to the entire school. Meanwhile, Principal Oh Dae-won is talking to someone while watching Hung Sung's victory over Shin Young-min. The scene shifts to Hung Sung walking towards Kim Si-woo. "Are you okay?" Kim Si-woo asks. "How about you?" Hung Sung replies. "Of course, I'm fine," Kim Si-woo says. "Good, it was supposed to be easy," Hung Sung says. "So what now? Many people saw you defeat Shin Young-min, but breaking his arm." Before Kim Si-woo can finish, Hung Sung cuts him off. "There's nothing to worry about, right? You're worried that this might become a problem, aren't you?" Kim Si-woo is confused by Hung Sung's nonchalant attitude, given that breaking Shin Young-min's arm could potentially become a big issue. "What did you realize after fighting against scum like Park Min-cheol's gang? The world is not on the side of the weak," Hung Sung says, looking at Teacher Kim walking by without saying a word. On the other side, Teacher Kim is walking towards Shin Young-min, feeling very troubled about the situation. The only way to handle this is to be a false witness and let Hung Sung graduate, and then he can live without this burden. That's what Teacher Kim is thinking. "Teacher, please take me to the hospital. Teacher, can you hear me?" Shin Young-min says, trying to endure the pain from his broken arm. Teacher Kim looks at Shin Young-min coldly and says, "Shin Young-min, your arm wasn't broken because you fought with Hung Sung. You fell down the stairs while playing with your friends. If you mention Hung Sung's name at the hospital, I'll cover up the incident. So, just keep quiet." Hearing that, Shin Young-min gets angry and shouts, "How can you call yourself a teacher? You're a teacher, you're supposed to prioritize the safety of your students." Teacher Kim grabs Shin Young-min's shoulder harshly and says with anger, "Hey, you little brat, you've often used this as an excuse to cover up your own misdeeds. Don't ever teach me how to be a teacher." The scene shifts to Kong Taegu, whose face is wet and bruised, being held by two men in black shirts. A man stands in front of him, saying, "Are you still conscious? Let's continue. Please, give me one more chance. I succeeded, didn't I? I'll do whatever it takes, even stab him if necessary," Kong Taegu says, trembling with fear. "Hey, do you remember what our job is? Our job is to make our clients happy by causing chaos at school. What if our client isn't satisfied? Do you think you'll take responsibility? Making clients happy and hiding their identities is our job. Did you forget?" The man says, and then kicks Kong Taegu's face with his knee, causing him to fall and lose consciousness. The man beating up Kong Taegu is Young Chan-soo, a regional broker in Seoul. Seeing Kong Taegu's failure makes Young Chan-soo think that Hung Sung isn't an easy target. However, he believes in his own abilities and thinks that Hung Sung is just a formidable opponent, but not for him. To him, Hung Sung is just a frog trapped in a well. The scene shifts to Shin Young-min, who receives a message from Hung Sung, wanting to know who the client is that hired them to bully him. Seeing that Hung Sung knows when he'll be discharged from the hospital, Shin Young-min realizes that Hung Sung can still track him. This means Hung Sung can still do it again. Not only does Shin Young-min receive a message from Hung Sung, but he also gets a message from Kong Taegu. This makes him even more annoyed, and he thinks that if Kong Taegu wants to punish him, then so be it. With his mind jumbled between thoughts of Hung Sung and Kong Taegu, Shin Young-min feels annoyed and decides to go home and sleep, planning to deal with them when he wakes up. When he arrives home and opens the door, Shin Young-min is shocked to see that his house has been ransacked. A man runs towards him and punches him, but Shin Young-min manages to block the punch. Looking around makes Shin Young-min curious about what's happening. "What's going on with our house?" Shin Young-min asks. The man in front of him is Shin Young-min's father. Shin Young-min's father falls to his knees, crying, and says, "I told you not to touch the kid named Kim Yun-sung. If you hadn't touched him, everything would be fine." Hearing this makes Shin Young-min shocked. "You've ruined everything, even if you have to live like a dog, you shouldn't have crossed the line. This house you're living in, the food you see when you open the fridge, do you think it's free? Even if I'm not a good father, I've tried my best, but you've ruined it," Shin Young-min's father shouts. Seeing his father's anger makes Shin Young-min shocked and regretful about what he's done. In his shock, he walks backward and accidentally steps on a bottle, causing him to fall. As he falls, his phone rings because he's receiving a call. The scene shifts to Shin Young-min kneeling and apologizing to Hung Sung, suggesting that Hung Sung can use him as a servant if that's what it takes to get forgiveness. However, the response Hung Sung gives is beyond Shin Young-min's expectations. "Why should I forgive you? I warned you not to mess with my friends or people close to me, but you didn't listen. You did it because you knew you could handle the consequences, right? Hong Sung says coldly. It's not like that, I did it because I'm stupid, Shin Young-min says quickly. Yes, you're stupid, very stupid. Only a stupid person would throw themselves into the fire, Hong Sung says. Hong Sung gives Shin Young-min one last chance, which is to endure something for a month. If Shin Young-min succeeds, Hong Sung will forgive him. Seeing this, Shin Young-min is shocked. There's a glimmer of hope, but also fear about what's to come. Because Hong Sung doesn't reveal what Shin Young-min needs to endure. The next day in the school cafeteria, Shin Young-min walks in, and all the students start whispering and pointing at him. Wow, that's Shin Young-min. He looks okay, I guess. Has he changed after losing to a first-year student? He deserves it for being so arrogant, the students say, looking at Shin Young-min. The students start cursing and mocking him. Shin Young-min sits down in his chair, thinking that this is all nothing. He just needs to endure for a month, and everything will be over. As he sits, Shin Young-min notices a bookworm named Han Myung-yun staring at him, which makes him annoyed. How dare a loser like Han Myung-yun stare at him? Hung-min, just endure it. It's only a month. Keep quiet for a month, graduate from high school, and start a new life, Shin Young-min tells himself, trying to calm down. Suddenly, without warning, Han Myung-yun walks up to Shin Young-min and pours a bottle of milk over his head, making Shin Young-min shocked and disbelieving. A bookworm dares to do this to him. When Shin Young-min looks up at Han Myung-yun with anger, Han Myung-yun quickly says, according to Hong Sung, I can do this to you. A few days ago, in class 3 to 5, Hong Sung stood in front of the class, talking about how he fought against bullies and how anyone can do the same if they're strong enough. I wouldn't be standing here if I weren't strong enough to fight against bullies. So, from now on, I want Shin Young-min to pay for everything. From now on, you can do whatever you want to him, and he won't fight back. You can spit in his face or hit him on the back of the head, and he won't retaliate. But of course, this isn't mandatory. You decide whether you want to do it or not. If you feel like you can't do it, just remember this, no one will punish him for you, Hong Sung said boldly in front of his seniors. Hearing this, many people were shocked and didn't believe it. The school's feared student, who always bullied others, was now vulnerable. Han Myung-yun was one of the students who had been bullied by Shin Young-min for 3 years. He had been slapped by Shin Young-min just for accidentally making eye contact. He had lived like a puppet, ignored by everyone, and sometimes wondered if Shin Young-min would ever realize what he had done was wrong. But that moment never came, and now, finally, the time he had been waiting for had arrived, thanks to Hong Sung's guidance. Han Myung-yun then hits Shin Young-min on the head and spits on his food, saying, "Do you remember this? You used to do this to me and say things like this. Enjoy your food, you bastard. This is just the beginning." Shin Young-min endures a day of being bullied, hit, tackled, and thrown stones at. He's angry, but he can't do anything except hold back his anger. He wants to fight back, but he's afraid of Hong Sung. Meanwhile, Hong Sung thinks he's failed. He was expecting a lead on the golden circle, but he didn't get any information. The only clue he has is that the client is a student in the same year as him and rich enough to hire the golden circle. After thinking about it, Hong Sung sends Shin Young-min a message, offering him a new game. If Shin Young-min can complete it, all his problems will be solved. Shin Young-min quickly responds to the message, "I'll do it. Whatever it is, I won't disappoint you." The scene shifts to a small character standing on the side of the road, trying to convince himself that he's doing the right thing. Shin Young-min puts on a hoodie and mask, then walks into a store. The cashier is none other than Park Min-chul, who greets him with a bow. "Welcome, sir. What can I get for you?" Before Park Min-chul can finish his sentence, Shin Young-min slams his head onto the counter, causing Park Min-chul to cry out in pain and confusion. Shin Young-min then starts beating him up, but despite wearing a mask, Park Min-chul recognizes Shin Young-min from his stance and gaze. The scene shifts to a park where Park Min-chul's gang is gathered, except for Young Min-ho. It turns out they've all been beaten up by Shin Young-min. Park Min-chul tells them that he's sure it was Shin Young-min who beat him up, and explains why he's so certain. The gang members suggest reporting Shin Young-min to the authorities, but Park Min-chul says, "Do you have a will written? Shin Young-min is a dangerous person. Getting involved with him will get you hurt." As they're discussing the person who attacked them, Shin Young-min appears and says, "It's great to see you all together, slaves. What are you doing? Why did you beat me up yesterday?" Park Min-chul asks, both angry and scared. "Actually, I didn't want to do it, but Hung Sung knows my weakness. And he said he would forgive me if I could show you all what it's like to live in hell. You know what that means, right? Sorry, but I have to make you all live like you're in hell," Shin Young-min says, and then charges at them. Shin Young-min angrily beats them all while yelling, "This is all your fault, you bastards." Kang Chong-suk charges at Shin Young-min, wanting to punch him while yelling, "What we did was wrong, what?" Shin Young-min looks at Kang Chong-suk and says, "What are you saying, you bastard?" Seeing Shin Young-min not even trying to dodge his punch makes Kang Chong-suk terrified, and he says fearfully, "He's not dodging it. I shouldn't be like this. How dare you still bark at me, have you forgotten who I am?" says Shin Young-min while beating Kang Chong-suk. Shin Young-min grabs Kang Chong-suk's head and knee kicks it while saying, "I'm Shin Young-min, you bastard." The extremely hard knee kick hits Kang Chong-suk's head, making him fall. Shin Young-min smiles happily and says, "Die, you bastard." But a moment later, Park Min-chul stands behind Shin Young-min and stabs him from behind with a knife, saying, "You bastard Shin Young-min, you shouldn't have gone too far. You're the reason we're like this, and why are you attacking us?" Shin Young-min falls and kneels while holding the stab wound, saying with a gasping breath, "Ha, you are crazy." Shin Young-min's blood keeps flowing, making him realize what Hung Sung wanted was total destruction. Hung Sung made Shin Young-min and Park Min-chul's gang choose who would be more ruined. The next day, news about Shin Young-min spreads widely in school. Many students are talking about the incident. "I heard from an acquaintance in the police, Park Min-chul is the suspect," says someone. "I also heard there's something weird about this case. They asked to be sent to juvenile detention ASAP. They want to get out of Deason," adds someone. The incident of Shin Young-min being stabbed makes the whole school chaotic. Who would have thought a strong guy like Shin Young-min would experience this? The scene changes to Hung Sung talking to someone on the phone. "As you said, Young-min Ho's family realized there's no hope for them, so they sold all their properties and left Deason. They're moving to Hung Ki-do, and he'll attend a public school," says the man on the phone. "Of course, rich people's kids are treated differently," says Hung Sung. The person talking to Hung Sung is Go Chang-bom. "He should be sent to juvie. I can send him there if you want," says Go Chang-bom. "Just leave him," says Hung Sung, smiling. This confuses Go Chang-bom. "I want to give him some time to forget who I am. I want him to believe he's living comfortably with his new school. After that, his destruction comes," explains Hung Sung. Hearing this, Go Chang-bom is shocked and says, "Sometimes you're scarier than me. For now, send all 4 of them to prison after they get out of juvenile detention." "I don't want them out, not even for a second," says Hung Sung. "Wow, I wouldn't want to cross you," jokes Go Chang-bom. "By the way, how much longer do I have to be here? I've been working here from the bottom for a month like you said, but there's nothing here. I'm not a patient person working step by step to reach the top," says Go Chang-bom. "Stay there a bit longer." "But, Mr. Go Chang-bom, remember what I said, everything's about to start," says Hung Sung. A few days later, news about real estate stocks skyrockets. Several construction companies are very happy with the huge market increase, including big construction companies. The scene shifts to a construction site. "Hey, hurry up," says a foreman calling a construction worker tying some steel bars. The worker quickly finishes tying, and the concrete is ready to be transported. But a moment later, some steel bars break, causing parts of the building under construction to fall. Seeing the building collapse makes people panic and yell that the building's collapsed. Apparently, a worker didn't have time to avoid it. As a result, the foreman is hit by falling steel bars. "What to do?" says someone. "What do you mean? Call an ambulance now," adds someone else. "Hurry up, and call the police." "No, stop. Everyone drop your phones," yells a foreman. Seeing the foreman scolding them to call the police and ambulance shocks them all, and they look at each other. The foreman immediately takes his phone to call superiors. A construction worker tries to brave himself and says, "Sir, we should call an ambulance first." Hearing this, the foreman yells, "Shut up. What if this project gets suspended because of this accident? Will you pay for the damages? Can you compensate for the losses?" After 2 hours pass, the injured person is sent to the hospital. But instead of being sent to the nearest hospital just 10 minutes away, they're sent to a hospital an hour away that has a good relationship with the company. At the hospital tries to contact the victim's family and finally connects, and the victim's son arrives to see his father's condition. The victim's son is named Oh Jong-hyuk. A moment later, 2 men in suits approach him, introducing themselves as company representatives wanting to meet the victim's family. The accident your father had was due to his carelessness, and it also caused changes. We suffered huge losses due to the accident caused by your father's recklessness, so we won't ask for compensation for the damages, say the 2 men in suits. Oh Jong-hyuk, seeing his father treated like this, can only hold back his anger. The cold treatment by the company makes him furious, and they can't even cover the hospital bills. Seeing this, Oh Jong-hyuk goes to his father's room and cries over the treatment the company gave his father. And that day is the start of a life he can't forget, all the incidents in the company's treatment where his father works. The scene changes to Go Changbom. Go Changbom walks casually, yawns, and says, "I want to sleep, I want to drink, want to play with girls, damn it. How long do I have to do all this?" Go Changbom stands while enjoying a cigarette and thinks he has to trust Hung Sung, after seeing with his own eyes what happened to his bullies. All the bullies who used to bully him are now receiving consequences, and Go Changbom realizes the next one to receive the same fate is Go Chong-suk. "Alright, I have to trust him," says Go Changbom while putting out his cigarette. As he's about to get back to work, Go Changbom notices something's off. People around are running towards the construction site like something's happened. When he turns, Go Changbom's shocked to see the building's floor has collapsed, and he immediately rushes to the collapsed building. After arriving, Go Changbom asks what actually happened. A man standing next to him explains the building collapse was likely a pouring incident. "Pouring? What are you talking about?" says Go Changbom, not understanding. "Explain about pouring or whatever later. Now, are there people in there?" says Go Changbom, turning to the man while pointing at the collapsed building. "Yeah, there are. We're not sure, but likely 5 or 6 people," says the man. "What?" says Go Changbom, glaring at the man angrily. "Don't worry, we'll contact superiors and control the news. We'll keep it secret," says the man nervously. Go Changbom angrily grabs the man's shirt collar and says, "Hey, is that important?" Seeing Go Changbom's furious, grabbing his shirt collar, scares the man. In Go Changbom's mind, he's shocked. Go Changbom says in his heart, "Kid, how far can you actually predict this?" This is exactly like Hung Sung said. If there's an accident, just use the name of the eldest son of Myunjin Construction to collect the fragments. Don't think about the losses. Think about what's best for the injured workers. Without hesitation, Go Changbom says, "Quickly call the police and rescue team." "I can't. This accident will spread to the public, and it'll all be our fault," explains the man fearfully. "Hey, is that the problem?" asks Go Changbom. "It's not about compensation. If construction gets delayed, who'll bear the losses?" says the man. Go Changbom releases the man's shirt collar and says coldly, "Just call the police." The man isn't sure what to do, but amidst his uncertainty, Go Changbom says boldly, "I'll take responsibility for all this. Not you, but me. Do you think it's funny playing with people's lives? Quickly call all rescue teams in Decent and save them. I'll take responsibility." "Really? When will they arrive here?" asks Go Changbom. "They said they're already on their way, heading here since they received the call," says a man in a black suit. "Should we start moving debris or rocks with heavy machinery?" asks Go Changbom. "No, they said don't touch anything until professionals arrive and see it," explains the man in the black suit. "Then they better hurry. Call them again, tell them to come as fast as possible. If it causes problems, I'll handle it," says Go Changbom. Apparently, among the construction workers, there's Oh Jong-hyuk working there. Crash. The sound of the building collapsing again. "The whole building's collapsing again. Don't approach," says someone. "What?" says Oh Jong-hyuk, shocked. "Whether this becomes a problem or not, we should prioritize people's lives. If you still have time to yell useless things like that, at least call the police again," says Go Changbom coldly. Not long after, rescue teams, ambulances, and police arrive at the accident site and start rescuing workers. "It's a miracle, most of them only have minor injuries, and no one's life is in danger," yells someone. Is this really a miracle? Yells another. But there's still a problem, says the man in the black suit. What problem? Asks Go Changbom. Some media are already reporting on this accident, and some are reporting it negatively. I think it'll become a hot topic in the news. Since everything's already messed up like this, there's nothing else we can do, says the man in the black suit worriedly. Really? Then what should we do? Asks Go Changbom. Hearing Go Changbom ask what they should do shocks the man. I said, what should we do? Says Go Changbom, repeating his sentence. I thought you had a plan, says the man in the black suit. Plan? Plan my ass. I just called the police to save people, says Go Changbom. Then what about me? Mutters the man in the black suit, a bit confused seeing the chaotic situation and Go Changbom having no plan at all. After that, Go Changbom's phone rings, and it's a call from his father. Go Changbom, not knowing what to do, decides not to answer it. I think that's the president. Should he answer the call? Asks the man in the black suit. Don't interfere, just mind your own business, says Go Changbom. Damn, how long will he keep calling me? Adds Go Changbom in his heart because the phone keeps ringing. A moment later, Kim Yun-sung calls Go Changbom, and he immediately answers it and runs off, leaving the man in the black suit alone. The scene changes to Go Myunjin's room. Brother, are you crazy? Yells Go Chong-sok while slamming papers containing news about the incident this afternoon. The mistake Go Changbom made is a golden opportunity for him. As an ambitious person to take power, he'll definitely make good use of this chance. People's lives are important, but what about our company? Asks Go Chong-sok coldly while adjusting his glasses. With his cunning, Go Chong-sok starts playing words to bring Go Changbom down in front of his father. Words like, do you know how much the losses are? Do you know I have to fix this problem? Words like that are played by Go Chong-sok, like he cares about the company but actually he just wants to bring Go Changbom down and take over inheritance. You called the whole of Decent just for this. You didn't just call the rescue team, but also the police and made reporters know faster. Changbom, how will you handle this problem? Says Go Myunjin coldly. Go Changbom pauses, thinking about what Hung Sung taught him before meeting his father. Hung Sung told him what his father is like, a monster in construction with his own pride. If there's a mistake involving workers' health, he'll definitely interfere, so don't back down or be afraid. Just keep going forward. After pausing and recalling what Hung Sung taught him, Go Changbom says, Father, I think we should demolish the apartment and start again. Hearing this, both Go Myunjin, his father, and Go Chong-sok, his brother, are shocked. Ha, I know you're a high school graduate, but at least have a reasonable excuse, like some workers did. Do you think the construction costs are from the bank? The interest rises every day. The interest always rises. Do you think it's fine just for one building? Says Go Chong-sok while holding back his anger. Yeah, just for one building, that's why I suggested starting again. Like you said, it'll cause huge losses. I can't do complicated calculations, but I know how much. But more important than all that is trust. Do you know there are many construction companies with reputations below ours? In this case, we can only fix the damaged part and complete the construction. What did we think would happen? Says Go Changbom. No one will buy it. Thanks for telling the whole city, at least we can reduce the losses instead of building a new apartment, says Go Chong-sok, mocking Go Changbom. Chong-sok, we shouldn't prioritize money. What we should worry about is trust. And trust is now broken, snaps Go Changbom while looking at Go Chong-sok seriously. If we admit our mistake while building the first apartment and show good results, it might not be a great way, but we can gain their trust, and it can be the foundation of Myunjin construction, adds Go Changbom. Go Chong-sok, hearing this, smiles and says, are you really an idealist or what? We're a company. We have to prioritize our profits over, but before he can finish, Go Myunjin says, my eldest son has finally grown up. Incidents like this have happened to Myunjin construction before, at a different time. Back then, Go Myunjin himself mentioned that his subordinates hid the incident and showed the philosophy of building. Go Myunjin turns and walks slowly while saying, do you know what makes me angry about this incident? The fact is, we made a mistake in the basics of pouring concrete. That mistake should never happen under the name of Myunjin construction no matter what. A house is where people live. Safety is our priority, everything else is thrown away. While standing in front of Go Changbom, Go Myunjin calls him, and he's responded to warmly by Go Changbom. Good job. I thought you were living life without thinking. But it seems you've grown up like I did in my youth. Myunjin Company is a company. But it's also a family company that prioritizes the value of a home. Remember that, and you'll be able to follow in my footsteps, says Go Myunjin. Hearing the praise Go Changbom receives makes Go Chang-sok even more irritated. The praise that should have been his, the plan to take advantage of this incident totally failed. A few days later, at the hospital, one of the accident victims has to have both legs amputated. I think we need to amputate both his legs, says the hospital nurse. Hearing this, the victim's wife can only cry, not knowing what to do. Of the people who had the accident, everyone only had minor injuries, and only one had to go into surgery. The wife of the victim who's being amputated goes and sits at a table to calm herself down with her older brother. "Brother, what should we do now? What should I tell my kids?" says the victim's wife with sadness. "Calm down first. People from Myunjin Company will arrive soon," says the victim's wife's brother, trying to calm her down. "I don't think I'll be able to talk to them. I heard construction companies don't pay hospital bills or compensation," says the victim's wife worriedly. A moment later, Go Changbom with two men in black suits arrives in front of the two people and immediately says, "Mrs. Kim Un-suk." The two people look at Go Changbom confused. And without waiting, Go Changbom with the two people following him immediately bow and say, "We're here on behalf of the company, and we want to sincerely apologize for the incident that happened. Some time ago, on the way, Go Changbom called Hung Sung to ask for advice on what to do. Because of his father's words to keep going, and his father for the first time has expectations of him, so Go Changbom doesn't want to disappoint his father. Handle the problem first. There are two types of cases in this problem. One is easy. If we promise them a period of payment deferment, loan interest payment, adjustment of selling price, and transparency of construction procedures, then we should be able to calm them down. And the second case is the person who had the accident. Do as much as you can to help them, as much as making them proud to work at Myunjin Company. That's Hung Sung's advice to Go Changbom, who's on his way to the hospital to meet the accident victim. Back to the present. The two men following Go Changbom immediately sit in chairs in front of the victim's family and say, "This accident is entirely our fault. It's Myunjin Company's mistake. Money can't solve the pain you feel about the accident that happened to your loved one, but we want to try our best," says the man in the suit. The victim's family, hearing this, suddenly look at each other, not believing what they just heard, where rumors say other construction companies don't pay hospital bills when accidents happen. But Myunjin Construction Company not only blames their employee but also wants to help. The news immediately makes the victim's sister-in-law feel relieved. Her worries disappear. "Really?" says the victim's sister. "Of course, you'll have your hospital bills paid, and we'll pay other costs separately. Not only that, we'll also recruit your husband in a department that needs his skills. Your husband has worked for Myunjin Construction Company long enough. We won't forget his hard work," explains the man in the black suit with glasses, and he immediately hands over a contract. Seeing the contract and how caring Myunjin Construction Company is makes both families suddenly cry. The victim's wife, who can't believe the news, cries while continuously thanking Go Changbom and the two men in black suits. The scene changes to nighttime, in front of the hospital. Go Changbom is sitting on the stairs smoking with a man in a black suit with glasses standing in front of him. "Hey, tell me, what do you think about construction building?" asks Go Changbom. "Haha, I don't know how to build buildings," answers the man in the suit with glasses. "I think our company was just about making money until now. But this incident made me think a lot more," says Go Changbom. "Really?" asks the man in the black suit with glasses. "I think there are many people connected. People working hard to support their families, people buying homes with savings for their lives. I think I have to think about my position a bit. It's very complicated. I just want to eat well and live well," says Go Changbom while looking up at the sky. Thinking back to the first time he met Hung Sung. Because of a kid he didn't know at the police station. It all started there, and because of that, Go Changbom ended up wanting to become the president of the company when he almost gave up on life. And he realizes he can't live like his life before. After thinking about this, Go Changbom says while inhaling his cigarette, "I think I'm similar to my father. I care about people close to me. I want people connected to me to have a good life." "That's good," says the man in the black suit with glasses. And he realizes Go Changbom, the guy who used to like having fun and playing with girls. Now he's not the same Go Changbom. The current Go Changbom has changed. A moment later, a man comes over. Scolds Go Changbom for, "Excuse me, you shouldn't be smoking here. Put it out now. Don't you know this is a hospital?" says the man while walking closer, pointing at Go Changbom. "Oh yeah, sorry," says the man in the black suit with glasses. "Bastard, you were having a good time, and you ruined it," yells Go Changbom while pointing at the man who scolded him. The man in the black suit with glasses, seeing Go Changbom's emotions, tries to calm him down. Meanwhile, the man who scolded him is confused. Who did they wrong? Why is he being yelled at? "I say, scram before I destroy the whole hospital," adds Go Changbom. Seeing Go Changbom's emotional, the man in the black suit thinks this isn't easy for someone to totally change. 1 week later, the unexpected fragments Hung Sung spoke of start to happen. On a TV station, a man is a guest on a news show. "Can you introduce yourself to us?" asks the presenter. "My name is Oh Young Hyuk. I'm the son of a construction worker who became paralyzed in an incident that happened while working for Myunjin Construction Company." Oh Young Hyuk was called to the TV show because news about the construction accident spread widely and became hot news in Daesan. Many journalists came just to get news to present to the media. They interviewed many construction workers, asking them what actually happened and how they feel about the accident. Back to Oh Young Hyuk. The presenter asks, "Can you tell us what happened to your father?" Oh Young Hyuk starts telling everything about what happened to his father while working at Myunjin Construction Company, his father being taken 2 hours after the accident, the foreman forbidding calling an ambulance and having to report to superiors first, and instead of taking his father to the nearest hospital, they took him to a faraway hospital that had a relationship with them. The explanation is filled with anger Oh Young Hyuk has been holding back. While explaining about his father, Oh Young Hyuk hits the table in front of him. "Thank you for coming. I heard there's more you want to say," says the presenter. "Yeah, actually I work at a construction company, and a similar accident happened like what my father experienced. But that company took different actions than the company my father used to work for," says Oh Young Hyuk. Meanwhile, after Go Changbom became a manager, he started coming early to the construction site every morning. "Sir, you're already here?" asks a worker seeing Go Changbom's arrival. "You look more extraordinary today," adds another worker. "Ah, are you guys serious? Is something wrong with you guys?" asks Go Changbom, feeling weird about his workers' behavior. "I think everyone's thinking about you changed after what happened. Everyone seems to like you," says a man approaching. "I don't care," says Go Changbom. The man offers his food while saying, "But sir, here's some onion juice my wife made. Try this, it's really good." "Ah, I'm hungry." Go Changbom goes inside and makes instant cup noodles while saying, "Why do I have to be a manager and wake up early? But I can't back down now." "Ah, eating ramen at a construction site is really good." While eating his instant cup noodles, a man opens the door and says, "Sir, there's a guest outside, they're from a TV station company. They want to take photos and look around." "Okay, I want to rest, so please take them around," says Go Changbom while continuing to eat his instant cup noodles. "But sir, the problem isn't that. They want to invite you and interview you," explains the man. Go Changbom's surprised and stops eating, saying, "Huh, why me? Did I make a mistake?" "I'm not sure," says the man. At night, at Go Myunjin's villa, Go Changbom's father is watching news about Go Changbom making unusual decisions that made the company suffer big losses. Not only that, the news also interviews employees who had accidents. They say they didn't expect the eldest son of Myunjin Construction Company to come himself and apologize. Seeing this makes the victims' families proud that their family head could work at a company that values their employees' performance. Seeing such good news makes Go Myunjin proud that his son finally grew up and knows how to handle problems like that. Not long after, Go Myunjin's phone rings, and it's a call from President Park. "Hello, what's up?" says Go Myunjin friendly. "President Go, you've really raised your son well," says President Park. "Haha, I know, he used to like causing trouble, I even wondered where he came from. But judging from what he's doing now, I think he's like me," says Go Myunjin. "So I want to say about my daughter," says President Park, but the scene changes to a middle-aged woman driving a car. "President Go, what do you think?" Blind dates with someone from a prominent family. Before, many people didn't want to, but now everyone seems to want to. Like flipping a hand, not only indecent but also from other cities asking about Go Changbom, says the woman. Really? Asks Go Myunjin. Yeah, if you don't like the family I suggested, just tell me. I can suggest another family, answers the woman. Alright, I'll do that, says Go Myunjin, and after a young woman enters Go Myunjin's room saying, Mr. President, were you looking for me? Yeah, you don't need to contact companies looking for a partner anymore, says Go Myunjin. Alright, sir, says the woman. And how's the situation now? Asks Go Myunjin with a serious face. We're continuously getting requests for construction. We got a request for 3,000 houses, apartment construction for the J Chemical employees, and we also got a contract from Decent City. They want 5,000 houses and finished before the end of next year. Hearing this, the opportunity Go Myunjin has been waiting for is the jackpot. The scene changes to where Go Changbom is shocked, saying, What? Me? Yeah, starting now, you'll be the executive director at Myunjin Construction Company. Everyone here will help you, says Go Myunjin. Hearing this news makes Go Changbom speechless. He can only mutter in his heart if this is a dream. Everyone in the room applauds while saying congratulations to Executive Director Go Changbom. But Go Changbom notices people in the house. There are some who always look at him like trash, and there's also people on his brother's side, Go Chong-sok. And Go Changbom will also participate in the project to be carried out in Decent City. I know it's fast, but I'm sure as time goes on, you'll definitely be able to, says Go Myunjin. What? Says Go Changbom, still not believing this news. Go Changbom immediately bows and says, Alright, then I'm looking forward to working with you. The scene changes to Hung Sung's school. Hung Sung is shocked seeing news that Go Changbom will work on a 5,000 house project and he's becoming executive director, where both things should have happened next year. But Hung Sung thinks again, maybe this isn't bad. With Go Changbom's promotion, it could become very meaningful financial help, but for the next plan, Hung Sung wants nothing to go wrong. Everything has to be according to plan. In front of the school, Go Changbom arrives with his luxury car. Hung Sung, seeing the luxury car, realizes it's similar to the car Go Changbom uses. Is this Go Changbom? What is he doing here? He didn't send me a message, mutters Hung Sung. The scene changes to the principal's office where Go Changbom is sitting with Principal Oh Dae-won. You're doing okay, right? Asks Go Changbom. Yeah, of course I'm okay. By the way, I was very inspired after watching your news, Executive Director, making brilliant decisions, says Principal Oh. Oh, interesting. We haven't even officially announced it yet, but it seems this old fox already got the info, says Go Changbom smiling. Go Changbom's promotion announced yesterday hasn't been officially confirmed and hasn't been made public. I came here to thank you for taking good care of Hung Sung, so I want to renovate this school with a good sports facility and a nice swimming pool, says Go Changbom smiling. Hearing this, Principal Oh Dae-won feels happy but hides his expression because a good sports facility and a nice swimming pool are also criteria for a top school. Thank you, we'll keep doing our best, the whole school will keep supporting Hung Sung. Trust me, says Principal Oh Dae-won. Thanks. By the way, can you call that guy? Teacher Kim Young-chul, says Go Changbom.